the assumption that you have a card reader. So when you buy a tip,
the other three don't. One of them does have a card reader, but the rest of them don't.
Right. So when you buy a USB stick, a memory card, like this, it usually does not tell you how fast the card is in terms of transfer. How fast can you transfer content from the USB drive to the computer? That is not rated when you buy a USB stick. On the other hand, when you buy a compact flash card, it is usually rated. So when you look at compact flash cards, we can go for 8 gigabytes, so we can have, we can compare apples to apples. I think the consensus is SanDisk is not bad, okay, especially the Ultra, it is fast. But the best bang for the buck is something else. Let me try. Transcend is usually the best bang for the buck. You can also see they're rated at the speed. When you see 133X, it's basically saying that this card can transfer content at 133 times the original speed of the first compact flash card. Okay, so 133X seems awfully fast already, right? Super duper fast, but it is only 1/3 of the 400X card. Now, at some speed, you will be hitting the limit of your USB bus itself, so it doesn't make any sense to go any faster than the speed of the bus itself. I think 400X is at about that limit. So if you buy anything up to 400X, you will still be benefiting from the extra speed. But if you buy anything faster than 400X, USB 2.0 would have hit its limits already. So it doesn't make any sense to buy anything faster than that.
What about USB 3.0?
But when you're running portable apps, you cannot count on all computers having the USB 3 connector.
Yeah.
Because USB 3 is still relatively new. Not all motherboards that you can buy.
But they are backward.
They are backward compatible. Yes,
so.
yes, they are. But I think you have to pay a lot more to get that because these two cards are both 8 gigabyte cards. This one is $23.50. This one is twice that amount. So you are paying twice as much to gain that speed, but this time the speed gain is like 3 times. So depending on what you're doing, it may actually worth the money. Yep.
So it's best to invest in the faster processing speed if you're doing specialized work.
If you're doing specific things like if you use Blender to render 3D graphics, I got to bring up the movie too. That means if you're doing it all the time, okay, and you are a professional video or movie producer, it's worth the money to get a quad core instead of a dual core. Okay, because saving time means you can produce more movies, and producing more movies means more profit. So when you use it as a tool, then it's worth the extra money. On the other hand, if you're just doing it for fun and say, oh, I just want to produce a 15-second presentation, then running half an hour versus running it in 15 minutes really does not matter that much. You can also schedule compute intensive jobs to after hours, like after you go to sleep. You can actually have the computer to run certain jobs that requires a lot of processing time, so that way it doesn't bother you because you won't be using the computer for anything else at that time. Okay? But to answer your particular question, when you're running portable apps, I would not use a regular USB stick because they are not rated for any speed. I would use a compact flash card or a SD card, but compact flash are faster than SD cards. And then use a card reader to plug it in. It sounds really cumbersome because you have to have a card reader and a card, but in the end it does give you significantly faster transfer speed, and that will make your portable apps run a lot faster than it does compared to a memory stick. I mean a USB stick.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
How do you spell Moore's Law?
Moore's Law. M-O-O-R-E, Moore. M-O-O-R-E apostrophe S, Moore's Law. Yep.
Does the rule of 10 still apply?
Rule of 10?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I've heard that every 10 years the technology is 10 times faster and 10 times smaller.
That may actually be the same as Moore's Law or another approximation of the same thing. We can project this out to, say, 10 years, although it's going to be, okay, in 3 years it is 4 times. So that means in 6 years, it's going to be 16 times. So this is growing faster than the rule of 10. Okay, very good. Now, what I've just mentioned about the portable apps, this particular thing is actually important because you can spend $25. Okay, you spend $25 to upgrade from 133x to 400x, and that can give you the feel or the experience of much faster than upgrading your processor a lot. Okay, but you're only spending $25. Or even if you don't have a compact flash card to begin with, that's $50. But that means it will run faster on any computer. So I think that's a worthwhile investment. When you're looking for bang for buck. Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting on versus buying a laptop and carrying a laptop from site to site.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big difference. I mean, if I can do it for $25, why spend $1,200?
This is also 8 gig, compact flash card. If you can walk away with a 4 gig, compact flash card, it's significantly less expensive too. When you look at compact flash cards, you can see that they are all rated based on how fast they can go. So this one is capable of 60 megabytes per second. That's already faster than USB 2. The top end of USB 2.0. So there's no way you can actually harness the top speed of a compact flash card like this using USB 2.0. No, you're still limited by the bus speed. Yep. You have to upgrade to USB 3.0 to utilize the extra speed that is capable of this card is capable of. The other thing is the more hubs you go through, the slower your USB device is. So instead of plugging this to a hub and then have the hub to plug into your computer, you can try to plug in the USB reader directly to one of the ports on the computer. That will also help to speed it up if you had a hub before. Okay. Any other questions about this topic? Because we were on the topic of how much should I spend to speed up the system. Sometimes it is not a whole lot. Okay, sometimes it's not a whole lot. Last time we talked about caches, what a cache is and why it is helpful. Remember that? You can read 1 page per minute or so, okay, but someone has to fetch the pages from the county library, so that takes a lot of time because accessing memory is very slow. So the question is, can that person bring you like 16 pages at a time so you can basically stay in the room, have 16 pages to read, while that person is going to the county to fetch the other 16 pages? That's the whole idea of using the cache, is so that you have a local copy of those pages so that you can continue to read while the other guy is running around to get more pages. Okay? So,
760.
huh?
Get the 760.
Get the 760.
That one.
That one has 8 megabytes of cache, and you're paying only $50 more. Yep. So that would make it a very good upgrade, only for $50 more. Okay. Any other questions about the selection of processors? No questions. We'll continue to personalize. And I complained about the fact that they don't give you an option of not including an operating system at all, and that has to do with Microsoft, has ways to convince Dell and HP and other hardware manufacturers and say, if you give customers an option not to have an operating system, we will jack up the per license fee that we charge you. Okay. So from a business point of view, Dell would say, well, to me, I can have more profit if I just decide to put Windows 7 on every single system that ships out of Dell. So that's why they don't even give you an option not to have an operating system installed. You can always uninstall the operating system or have it configured as dual boot once you get the computer system. So that's always an option. The other part here is you can see that it's 64-bit, 64-bit, 64-bit. What is the difference between a 64-bit operating system and a 32-bit operating system? Go ahead.
It's the size of the memory that is allocated to be filled up on the disk itself.
Not on the disk. It has to do with how much memory, how much RAM is accessible. Okay, 4 gig is the boundary. 32-bit can only address up to 4 gigabytes of memory. With Windows, I think it's less. With Linux, with a 32-bit operating system, you can only address up to 4 gigabytes of RAM. A 64-bit operating system can go beyond the 4 gigabyte memory margin. So we'll talk about that when we get to the RAM portion. Okay?
How much can 64-bit handle?
Way more than physically can fit into a motherboard.
I think it's like 16 or something like that.
Oh, no. 64-bit can deal with a lot more because it becomes 4 giga of 4 giga. You're looking at a number that is 16 with 18 zeros after it. Okay? So it's 16 times 10 to the power of 18, or in that order of magnitude. Okay, that's way more than what you can fit on the motherboard. So don't worry about it. If you have Windows 64-bit, you won't need another operating system on that computer. By the time you need another operating system, it won't be this type of processors anyway. So we just move on. Select my memory. Now this is the interesting part because you have all these options here. The first option is the one that is already included. It includes 8 gigabytes of dual channel DDR3 SDRAM at a particular frequency. So now we have a big question. What does it mean? It's all kind of gibberish, right? Well, we'll go ahead and take a look at each term and try to explain what it means. We'll start with 8 gigabyte. Okay? What is 8 giga? What is 1 giga, by the way? 1 gig is 1 billion, or approximately. So that's approximately 10 to the power of 9. Okay, 1 billion is 10 to the power of 9. So 8 giga is approximately 8 billion bytes. Well, 8 billion, 4 million, whatever, right? Well, not exactly. Okay, it does make some difference. When you don't have enough RAM, what happens to your computer? It becomes very slow because what happens is the operating system will say, oh, you only got 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is random access memory, which is relatively fast compared to the hard drive. But when you're running your applications, the applications may call for, let's say, 6 gigabytes of RAM requirement, which is more than what you have in RAM. So how do you fit 4 gigabytes into 4? How do you fit 6 gigabytes into 4? You cannot. So what the operating system do is to try to use a swap file. Okay, it will say that this program using up 3 gigabytes has not been used for a while. I'll swap it out onto the hard drive. Okay, in order to have enough space to run the application that you're running currently. Now, when you switch application, it would do the other way around. It will basically say, this program is no longer in use, but you're trying to run this program, so I will swap that program back in from the hard drive and kick this one out to the hard drive. So that's why you will see a lot of hard drive activities. The hard drive indicator will keep blinking all the time when you have to swap between the applications when you don't have enough RAM. It is this type of behavior is called thrashing. It's a technical term used in operating systems. It's called thrashing. It means that you're spending so much time swapping the applications in and out of the hard drive that you hardly have any time to actually do anything useful. If you're running up against that limit, having more memory will make all the differences. Okay, it will speed up your computer significantly. Do you need 8 gigabytes? Well, that depends on what you're doing. Some application programs need a lot of RAM, and some do not. If you install Creative Suite 5, CS5 from Adobe, you should get more RAM. Okay, because those applications are fairly big and they use up a lot of RAM. Can anyone tell me why